Good morning and welcome to Galactic Soul Healing. My name is Sonia. Today we're going to be looking at some messages from the Pleiadian collective. And I think the Sirians having a little bit of input into that as well. And it's going to be on the theme of this whole thing about how we have work, career, profession, job, occupation, what basically our working life as we move up into 5D, how that's going to be impacted by the higher frequencies, okay, which is kind of a little bit exciting. And many of you may have already been sensing little shifts or have the feeling that you want to make perhaps little changes, or your job you might be doing it in a different way, or you might have noticed maybe a frequency lifting in your workplace, so it's becoming different, or maybe you feel like you're drawn to certain aspects of your job more so than others. You might feel like you want to develop in a particular area, and that's probably because as we ascend, all of our talents, gifts and abilities, and our special soul, what our soul purpose is, starts to kind of make itself known, and that can sometimes filter down into what we do in our work life and the career and the types of jobs that we choose to do and things like that. So the decks we're going to use today are I've been guided to use these for various reasons. We're going to use the Fairy Wisdom Oracle by Amy Brown. That's just sort of add a light, playful kind of energy in there. And we have the Keepers of the Light. Now these are often ascended masters and light beings in here who have, they're quite high frequency figures that have very strong, purpose for what they're doing, for reasons for being, so that they can sort of be maybe give us some guidance as well. And with Gods and Titans, this is sort of about the divine masculine. It's about that how we're moving out into the world, what kind of energies and frequencies we want to be doing that with, and things to keep in mind too, maybe things to be aware of or changes that we might need to go through in that area. And we also have the Isis Oracle, and of course this is a divine feminine kind of take, and that's kind of going to include lots of different things in there too. Like it's going to bring out things like creativity, perhaps like using intuition and spirituality and things like that. Okay. Yes, and so I'm hoping that all of those things are going to help us to look at these awesome messages that are going to come through from the Pleiadians and the Sirians. I was also just appealing to some archangels this morning as well. For instance, Archangel Michael, and he's really good to appeal to for protection. Archangel Raphael is great for healing and anything like that. And then we have Archangel Gabriel. That's very, he's very supportive for if you're going through emotional challenges. Okay. And Archangel Uriel is the archangel that's really going to be really helping us with our grounding or manifesting our purpose into action, and helping us to move from conceptual idea thinking and putting it into practice. So moving from the ether, so to speak, into the tangible, because even though we are going in 5D, we're still dealing with the physical realm. Okay. But it's just we're going to be dealing with it in a different way. Okay, so nature is still going to be there. We're going to be very sort of connected to nature as well. So I think these archangels are going to have some input as well. And I feel too that they of course, all the light beings are quite, angelic and high frequency. And as you know, a lot of the Pleiadians, a lot of them work within the mandate of the Galactic Federation of Light, which is like a big council of people that work in alignment with the light. So their frequency is going to be helping us to more and more kind of align our careers, jobs and work that we do. They're all going to morph over time, and we're going to be seeing some awesome little changes and shifts over the next few years, or probably a couple of decades or whatever. Okay, so just a really quick shuffle, and just to mention as well that if something doesn't resonate, that I say please don't take it on. If it does resonate, that's fine. You might like to explore that concept or idea a little more. And we're going to cut the decks. I'm just going to do one card from each deck, okay? And and we'll see what the Archangels, Pleiadians and Sirians have to say. So let's just cut the decks now. So I just do this so that you can see that I haven't pre-chosen anything. And once again, we use image to appeal to our subconscious, to prompt our subconscious language, to perhaps take on a few extra concepts, new concepts and ways of looking at things, so that can sort of enhance our we can enhance and improve our lives, and have a better communication between our subconscious and our conscious mind is sort of what I'm saying. And also, if many of you are experiencing more vivid dreams lately, I certainly have been, and sometimes I wake up and I think, wow, probably should write that down, and then life happens and I'm like, well, I'll try and remember that later. Maybe with waking up a little bit earlier and just writing down the dream as well, and that can sort of help with your subconscious conscious connection. Now, in terms of work, career, purpose, profession, many of you may be going through shifts and changes. Let's look at the first card. Now these it will become apparent. Okay, love and acceptance. Awesome. Now that image has a very Buddhic feel, very meditative with that lotus there. What does that say underneath? Love is yours. Recognize your divine worth. Choose loving thoughts. And that word is hope. Now, it's interesting that word came up because during my little meditation on my beach walk, one of the words that came up was that as we ascend, we are also ascend in frequency. We're also going to be ascending or increasing in our perception of our own self-worth. So what we believe or how we value ourselves, that value is going to be increasing. So we're going to value ourselves, but as we do that, we're also valuing others. So if you can imagine that we have this amount of compassion, say, and as our compassion increases, okay, the value that we place on things is going to increase as well, because we're going to be feeling that, appreciating, having a lot more gratitude for things, and so we're going to value things a lot more. And as this happens, our own self-worth, the way we value ourselves is going to increase. Okay, so this is sort of saying, and we are divine beings, and we're going to come into a more and more appreciation of that fact. Recognize your divine worth. Okay, now I'm also going to be a little courageous here in just sort of putting out there that possibility as well, that as we increase in worth, it could be that the money system is going to be dealt away with, but it could be that perhaps there's going to be more money, okay, generated, and people will receive more money for what they do, okay, because overall there's going to be more value placed on the ways in which we give of ourselves in our job and our profession, our knowledge and our expertise, and also that we're bringing our whole soul energy, our whole personality into that, and we're really focused on our job and our career and what we do. So really, if you're putting a value on that, in one way of looking at it, it's an invaluable thing. If you're offering a service and you're giving of yourself to a very large extent, and okay, a lot of people do this in their job, that they should be paid in due, you know what I'm saying, paid in due, in terms of, you know, we give a lot of ourselves in our work, okay? And it's actually a lot of what we do is divine, because we're giving of our energy, okay? So I'm really hoping that, you know, one of two things can be happen if the money system disappears and we have to just, we do actually operate on a barter system. It's still going to be, we're going to be valuing each other's services and products and services that we offer, okay? But the other thing might happen is that there'll be less money put into ventures that are perhaps just there purely to generate large amounts of wealth, okay, where the wealth is kept for the few, and instead it's going to be more, it may well be more evenly distributed. So that means then that more people can receive more money if there's those few there that are like hogging it all, basically. If it's going to be like a better distribution of wealth is what it's trying to say. So the other thing too is that Spirit's also kind of saying, and Archangels and that, and Pleiadians, everyone, is that if you can value your what you have, if you believe that you're only worth $30 an hour, I get that you might be the set pay rate, but if there's a way for you to shift up in your job or to increase your values and skills so that you become of more value, and you are able to then promote yourself, it's also about seeing your own divine worth and being a divine being, and then being able to go, look, I have all of these knowledge, skills, you employer need me because I can do A, B and C, D and E and F. Yeah, so it's about divine worth, and I didn't want to get, you know, it's not about materialism, which is kind of hard to, because basically materialism, I think, is having the money and buying the things, okay? In the future, it's going to be like, if more people have more money, it might not be that we buy the things, it might be that we are able to create better and more amazing experiences from that, or that we can then reach out and help more people, okay? Yeah, I mean, it's probably a bit of an unknown at this point, but the thing is, the hope is that, you know, we are going to be increasing in our own self-worth as we increase in compassion and love and abundance, okay, for others as well. And that blossoming or expansion, I think the feeling I'm kind of getting is that there will be an expansion for everyone in terms of wealth with that as well. You know, let's hope that is going to be the reality. But even if it doesn't blossom into financial wealth for us, it's going to certainly blossom into heart wealth, okay, life wealth, unconditional love and compassion, a wealth of that, okay. And yeah, I also wanted to talk about as well in here is going to be the types of jobs that are going to be coming more into, wow, this being has not come up for, I've never drawn this card before. Okay, and this says dedication. A cat, that looks like an Aztec kind of being. Now, it kind of looks scary, but the dedication is like, that's about giving your all. And I have a feeling that this is sort of to do with purpose. So, and the kinds of jobs that are going to be, there are some general movements that I've noted down here, okay, that have been filtered through to me. That first one was increasing in our perception of our own value and the value of other people, okay. And the other one is operating more from the heart space, okay. Or in a sense, there's going to be more heart in professions and jobs and things like that. And you might have already noticed that. I've noticed that just going to standard kind of work environments, people are generally, a lot of them seem a little bit more heart-filled, which is kind of awesome. So the other thing too is healing. There'll be a lot of jobs and careers that are kind of where people are going to be choosing that path of healing others, helping others to heal, okay, and healing themselves as well. Health and well-being is going to be a big area for people, overcoming addictions and trauma and moving on from those things, okay. Generally, obviously in business and enterprise and things like that, there's going to be more sustainable practices going on, which has already kind of started, hasn't it? There's going to be more and more companies and businesses taking on those sustainable practices, okay? There's going to be more localised production and delivery of goods and services, okay, because it's just better overall if that's possible, wherever that's possible, it will kind of happen. And there's going to be a lot of work and career profession purpose around environment and nature connection, and even in education there's going to be a lot of that really grounding into the earth, perhaps learning how to grow food. That's going to be more part of, like in traditional indigenous cultures, for instance, people did a lot of that naturally, and we're going to be doing more of that within our education system, okay. And the education system will be informed by all of the above that I've just mentioned as well. The perceived value and worth is going to be increasing, and hopefully that will also filter through into monetary return that we get for the effort that we put in. That's going to be a lot fairer, okay. And putting more heart and love, unconditional love, into the work, like how to be caring and loving, but also then healing, health and well-being, overcoming addictions and trauma, and sustainability and localization, okay. So they were some of the themes that came up. But this guy here, that is dedication. Now that's determination, okay, focus, commitment, believing in what you're doing. And in terms of your soul essence, your soul purpose, it's about making a dedication or commitment to your soul. So this means also that it's about higher self. Your conscious everyday being is going to be bringing in more of your higher self, and those are going to be working together more so over time. It will develop that you'll work more and more. Your higher self will come more and more into your job or your career. And your soul essence, if you feel at the moment that your work is, you don't feel it's sort of supportive of your soul, it might be to some extent, but you might feel that there are lots of gaps there, that you feel that, in this aspect of, or this part of the job role, or if I worked at this branch or that kind of aspect, this department, it might be that you'd be able to go, look, I really feel like I need to develop in that area, and so I can then be more in line with who I am, okay. So it's about being dedicated to your own path of self-development and personal growth as well, and having in there, obviously adding in your physical, emotional, intellectual and spiritual, okay. This is a groovy little image here. Reflections. Interesting. These two look a bit like cousins, don't they? Husband and wife, maybe, I don't know. Reflections. So this one's about, just reflecting, taking some time out. I'm just going to grab this other little this book here. Number 58. And you can just have a look at that image and see what comes up for you. It's almost, she looks almost like a shadow, as in like a subconscious kind of figure, or a figure from a dream or something like that. And it could sort of represent the unknown aspects of yourself that you have yet to kind of step into. And that's something too that messages coming through, that your work role down the track may be different from the current work role that you have. You know, it may be quite different, or it might be slightly different. Okay, so it's talking about it's talking about having a good, honest look in at yourself, and just thinking, you know, what is it that you feel where you need to grow, and what you might want to be changing about yourself. But as we ascend, I think all of this stuff's coming up in our face anyway. I don't know about you guys, but I've had little things kind of come up in my face, like, wow, realizations that, oh, geez, I'm like that. And that's the kind of thing that, you know, can sort of happen. Okay, so it's talking about getting a balance between, you know, your ego and your higher self as well. So it's maybe not becoming overly invested in your ego, just sort of being a little reflective and just going, well, yeah, I might think that I'm the greatest, but in actual fact, you know, am I a bit over the top, or, you know, do I really care about other people, you know, and all this sort of stuff. So there's a little poem here. O mirror of divinity, what is it that you reflect to me? Could it be that I need see that which is truly within me? So be it. Deflate your ego a bit today. So it's just saying, your career, job, you know, if it brings out aspects in you that you don't really like, or you feel like you're becoming very one-sided in your development and who you are from your work role, it might be that you need to start activating another aspect of yourself somehow, perhaps either in the workplace or elsewhere. Okay, my box just dropped. So yep, that's reflection. So that's about just looking inwards and really examining how you are in your work, career, job, profession, and how you're feeling about that, okay, which could be another thing. What emotions is it bringing up in you, okay? Divine guardian. Wow, we've had a lot of divine. We've had dedication, divine worth, and now we have divine guardian. And reflections doesn't start with D, but that's okay. Protection of the winged mother. So you can appeal to Isis. And that's the other thing too to remember, is that as we actually have capacity or potential to be guardians, okay? We are ourselves guardians of the earth. We are guardians of our own souls. Okay, so, and we can actually act as guides or guardians for others, particularly if they need assistance, you know, in perhaps, say, with health and well-being, with healing, with even their perceived sense of value. Sometimes it's really nice to be able to encourage people, and this could be some of the job roles that ways in which job roles can be influenced, okay, is by doing these kinds of things with people. So helping people to kind of overcome their traumas or their addictions is going to be a really big thing. And of course, if you're doing more sustainable practice, that you're sort of helping the earth, being an earth guardian there. Protecting nature, being a guardian of nature and the earth, but also of your own soul. Actually, other words that came up into my brain when I was meditating on the beach was boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. So that is about, you know, if your work, career, job, profession is so totally consuming that it leaves you completely exhausted all the time and you barely have energy to enjoy yourself afterwards, or, you know, on the weekend because you're so effed, it might be time to kind of set some boundaries in terms of, it's a personal choice, isn't it? I mean, if your job's all consuming, it's really totally rewarding and you're exhausted and you're happy with that, that's fine. But if you feel like there's a part of you that you can't get moving on because you're so effed or completely drained, then it might be time to kind of just step up and be your own divine guardian and try and set some boundaries, perhaps with your employer, if there's a way to do that gently and respectfully. Or, if there's a way to do that, it might be a good idea. So being a guardian is like being a protector, an overseer, like a nurturer, supporter. So we need to be doing all those things for ourselves, and in our job roles we may be doing those things for others. Okay, as well, particularly in 5D, we need to start really taking on board that we can actually embody this energy. Okay, we can be that guardian, and we can stand fully in our spiritual, emotional, mental and physical being in alignment, and we can be quite strong when we do that. And as we raise in frequency, okay, this way of being is kind of probably going to come through more and more into our career, our profession and our work, and there's going to be a morphing, an integration of our purpose, our spiritual purpose and our working life, ultimately down the track. At the moment, it might be a case of going through small shifts towards that, because as you know, this thing called transferable skills, okay, your current skills and abilities might be A and B, but down the track, as you ascend and more of your gifts and abilities come on board, okay, your purpose is also going to comprise of a C and D, and probably more things down the track as well. So it's really just also keeping in mind that feeling of hope that, you can expand your work, career and professional life and your occupation. You may even like to, perhaps you might want to change your work or career or occupation, or you might want to move sideways into a related field that's slightly different, that's going to give you more opportunity to activate other parts of your being that you want to kind of look into, or that you feel that your intuition is telling you that you need to move in that direction as well. Love and acceptance. So yeah, and sometimes, to some extent, maybe we do have to accept where we are right now, but there's also hope that we can, we can make little shifts and changes if that's how our soul is wanting us to move. And when we start to do that, and we start to reflect, okay, on those things and on ourselves, okay, then we need to kind of activate our, we need to be a little bit of self-dedication here, so that we can then move more fully into this, being a true guardian for ourselves and also for other people, and and the planet as well. So I think that's kind of pretty good in terms of career guidance for us from the Archangels, Sirians and Pleiadians. This is about, being committed to your divine worth as well. Okay, we're going to be committed to our, another little thing you might like to do is, if you wanted to consider what your award pay rate is currently, just sort of write that down on a piece of paper, put it to the side, and then just meditate on all the things you do in your job, how much energy you put into it, how many hours you work, all that sort of stuff, and then just think, well, okay, I think really reasonably, for the amount of energy and the type of things I do in my job, how much I give of it, I give of myself, a reasonable, what I would and then you can determine what you would think is a reasonable pay rate per hour. Okay. Now, I used to work in childcare, a while back. And as you know, it's not a huge pay rate unless you're a qualified early childhood teacher. But for the amount of energy that's required, the number of skills that you need to have, and the level of responsibility is another thing that comes into work, because all of that takes so much energy, all of those things. And really, to be honest, I would probably put my sole value on that would be per hour. It would be easy 2 to 3 times what I was actually receiving. And I'm not going to put monetary figures out there because all the pay rates are different in different countries. But you just work that out for yourself, and then just go, well, how in my current work, is there a job role that's related where I could actually receive that pay rate at the moment? And then it might be a matter of, or close to that, and then just work your way up until you can get to that hourly pay rate that you really want, that you feel that you are worth, that your divine worth is equal to, right? If you believe your current pay rate is adequate and that is realistic for that particular job role, then that's fine. But it's for those of you that are feeling like you're giving so much of yourself and the monetary return that you're receiving is not equal. It's not equal. And I get that in the third dimension frequency, it kind of never is equal, is it? But what Spirit's trying to say to us is that down the track, our divine worth, it's going to be we're going to be more highly valued. We're going to be valuing other people a whole lot more. Or it could be that money's going to be of no consequence. It's not going to be about money at all. It's going to be about just what we can give unconditionally. I'm certainly hoping that the system will change, and I know a lot of other people will be hoping that as well. Because or certainly so that people can live in more comfort and harmony and peace and balance and all that sort of thing. I'm really looking forward to getting some assistance. I think societal-wise, culturally, that we're getting assistance from these high-frequency beings. We need to be doing things more in more energy-efficient ways. And that's going to cut back on a whole lot of need to, have the house and the car and all the rest of it. We just got to be thinking about all of these material things. What are they giving us really? It allows us to travel or allows us to do that. But, just got to think about your priorities as well. I'm going to end it here. Apologise if I've raved a little bit much, but I think there's some positive messages in there. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a great day, and I'll catch you tomorrow or the day after that. Bye.